My dad and I played catch every night until I almost stopped showing up. He'd come home from work, hang his keys on the hook by the door, grab his glove off the shelf and say, "Let's go." I'd grab mine and follow him out. We'd play in the front yard until Mom called us in for dinner. That catch was the only thing my dad and I did together, just the two of us. Then one Saturday, my friend Zach walked past my house, saw us in the yard and said, "Bro, you still play catch with your dad?" I laughed it off, but something landed wrong. By the end of that week, I'd decided I was too old for it. Monday night, Dad came home, hung his keys, grabbed his glove, and said, "Let's go." I told him I was good. He paused for a second, then said, "Okay," and went out alone. I didn't know it then, but that was the first night I picked anything over my dad. I watched him through the window. He stood in the yard for a minute with his glove on, looking around like he wasn't sure what to do, then walked over to the garage wall and started throwing the ball against it by himself. Next night, same thing. Then the whole rest of the week. By the second week, he stopped pausing when I told him no. By the third week, he stopped asking. He'd just come home, hang his keys, grab his glove, and head straight out the door alone. One night, I went into the kitchen for water and heard him on the porch with my mom. He was asking her if he should stop bringing the glove out. She told him to give me time. He said, "I just liked playing with him." He was talking about me like it was over. I knew what I had to do. I walked over to the shelf and grabbed my glove. He was still in the yard with his hand on his hip, looking at the ground. I walked up and he looked at me, didn't say anything. I threw the ball to him. He caught it and threw it back. We played in the yard until the street light came on. The next night he came home, hung his keys, grabbed his glove, and said, "Let's go." I grabbed mine. He never stopped wanting to play. I almost let shame end the only thing we had. At 3 a.m., I walked upstairs in my pajamas, pounded on my neighbor's door, and he answered, still holding the vacuum. "Can you please shut that damn thing off? I'm trying to sleep." He looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. "It's the evening, man." I stared at him. "It's 3 a.m. It's my evening. I work nights. I get home. I eat. I clean. I go to bed at 8. That's my evening. Deal with it." He shut the door in my face and started vacuuming again. I'd filed 3 complaints with a landlord who kept promising to have a word. I'd thumped the ceiling with a broom handle until my hands went numb, but now I was declaring war. On Friday, I stopped at Home Depot and walked out with the biggest leaf blower they had. When I got home, I set an alarm for 7:55 and went to sleep through the vacuum noises. Saturday at 8 a.m. sharp, I plugged in the leaf blower and pulled the trigger. The ceiling shook. I heard a thump, a crash, and a grown man sprinting above me. He pounded on his floor, but I kept the trigger down. 3 minutes later, he was at my door hammering and screaming over the engine noise. I gave it another minute, cut the engine, and opened up. His hair was straight up, and he was wearing one sock. "What the hell are you doing? It is 8 in the morning." I waited for him to run out of breath. "It's my evening. Deal with it." He opened his mouth twice and gave up both times. He said he was calling the property manager and stormed back upstairs. 20 minutes later, the property manager was at my door. I pointed at the leaf blower, then at the ceiling. I asked him to pull the noise complaint log for the apartment upstairs. He scrolled and kept scrolling and kept scrolling. 47 nights on file. He thanked me and went upstairs to have a real word. The moving truck was in the parking lot by Monday morning. I watched him load the vacuum in last while I petted my leaf blower. Good boy. I just pulled into the handicap spot when a woman ran up filming through my window, screaming I was a fraud. She kept the camera locked on my face, narrating to her followers that she'd caught another one. I pointed at the parking tag hanging from my rearview mirror, but her camera didn't move. I kept my hands flat on the wheel so she couldn't claim I was being aggressive, and told her I just needed 10 minutes inside. I'd been through this before, and it had gone badly. By then, 2 shoppers with carts had stopped behind her to watch. She swung the camera back to her own face. "You guys, look at this. No wheelchair, no cane. This is exactly what fraud looks like." A man in a polo shirt drifted over with his phone already raised. "I see this every weekend. Guys like him taking spots from people who actually need them." She held her phone to the glass, screen facing me. The post was already typed up like she'd done this 100 times before. My license plate sitting in the caption, her thumb hovering over the share button. 40,000 followers. Your face is everywhere by tonight. She pressed the phone flat against the window, screaming through the glass, breath fogging it. "Get out of that car. You guys are about to see exactly what an able-bodied liar looks like." I opened my door. She stumbled back, then chased me around to the other side of the car as I opened the back passenger door. My daughter sat in her car seat with noise-canceling headphones on, her hands pressed flat against them anyway, rocking, eyes squeezed shut, a weighted bunny tucked under one arm. I lifted her out, and the second she felt the open air, she started to scream. The woman with the phone lowered it. The man in the polo shirt kept his phone up, his arm slowly dropping until it hung at his side. He turned and walked back to his SUV without a word. I held my daughter against my chest, one hand on her head. The bunny pressed between us and walked past the woman without slowing. I said it over my shoulder. She has Down syndrome. The last person who screamed at our window sent her into a meltdown so bad she was hospitalized for a week. You came 2 minutes from doing it again. Her thumb was still on the share button. My grandpa with Alzheimer's walked into a tattoo shop and asked the artist for a tattoo of a man with dark hair, a sharp jawline, and a moon-shaped mole on his left cheek. This was the man who killed Grandpa's wife. His trial was in 3 months, but there were no police sketches of him, so Grandpa needed the tattoo to identify him in court before his Alzheimer's got worse, and he forgot what the man looked like. The tattoo artist nodded and started the tattoo, but halfway through, I noticed it was turning out nothing like Grandpa described. The tattoo had light hair, a small nose, and the mole on the left cheek was missing. I told the artist to stop, but he insisted he was almost done and tried to keep going. I helped Grandpa out of his chair, and when he saw the tattoo, he was furious. We tried to walk out, but the artist blocked our path, saying the tattoo he was doing was exactly what Grandpa asked for. We pushed past him and drove to a new tattoo shop where a different artist covered the incorrect tattoo and replaced it with the correct face. Dark hair, sharp jawline, and the moon-shaped mole on the left cheek. 3 months later, the trial happened. Grandpa could barely remember why he was here. The defendant's lawyer argued there was no proof the killer was at Grandpa's house that night, but I pointed to the tattoo and asked then how it was possible that the man's face matched the tattoo perfectly. The killer was sentenced, but while being led away, a man with the exact same moon-shaped mole on his left cheek walked over to him. He hugged the killer and said, "I'm sorry, Dad. I tried." I recognized the man as the artist who did Grandpa's first tattoo. I realized he was the killer's son. He tried to sabotage the tattoo so Grandpa couldn't identify his own father in court.